What in the heck is going on in the real estate market? That's something that people have been asking for about the last 5 years after we had a giant inflation in 2019 and after. Everybody is waiting for this impending market crash, which we will not see, and I will show you exactly why. However, I do want to go over the data of how we got here and why we have the current challenges that we're facing. I'm going to go ahead and put some data up here on the screen as I talk through it so that you can follow along with me. So something that's really important to note is in 2019, we're going to pull the average sales price for a home. These are for single family homes here in El Paso County. A lot of the nation has seen different data, so we're going to focus specifically on our Colorado market and more specifically in Colorado Springs for this. This data was pulled from PPAR, which is our MLS system here in El Paso County, and let's go over this. So the average sales price in August of 2019 was $368,101. We see that jump by 17.9% in 2020. So now we're at $433,942. This percentage of increase in the average sales price is really important because historically we only see 3 to 4%. So when we jump something massive like 17.9%, we can tell that there's a giant shift happening in the market. And if you remember, this is when the interest rates were really, really low and people were going crazy buying homes. So there were offers for $50,000 over asking, which then inflated the prices of the neighborhood when other properties went on market and were comped by realtors. It also was a time period where people were waiving inspection objections and things like that. A lot of people were buying houses sight unseen. It was just a truly unique experience in our market. Now, that trend continued, however. So we increased from 2020 to 2021, 14.8%, and then again from 2021 to 2022 to 8.9%. So these individuals have gained a mass amount of equity in their homes across the market, and those homes are all selling for higher, which is why the average sales price has jumped so much. Now, that was a time period within itself. We were definitely in a seller's market and buyers were paying a whole lot for these properties over what they would have in a couple of the years prior to that. Well, we saw a shift. So in 2022 to 2023, we did not have an impending market crash, but we did see a correction. So this is when rates really started to go up and they started to impact sales. So we saw that the market only raised 2.7%. The following year, it was only 2.3%. And then from last year to this year, it only has raised 0.6%. All of this data is pulled from August. The reason that I pulled that data from August is because it's kind of the height of our real estate market. It starts to climb in April, and then as we get into August, it goes higher, and then we start to drop back down for the fall. So I chose that month to pull it. Now, we really want to focus on what occurred between 2023 and 2025 because the people that bought homes during that time period have only now today seen about a 6% increase in their equity. And that leaves them in quite a predicament because if you remember, real estate fees, although they are negotiable, are about 2.5% to 3% per agent per side. A lot of the time, the seller's agent is still being asked by the buyer's agent to cover their commission. So they're already out 5 to 6% of the home's value in closing costs, which is all the equity that most of them have gained. And then on top of that, when you close a home, you have to pay title fees that range between 1% and 2% of a home. So a lot of these individuals are stuck in this time period where the average time to move is coming up now, and they don't have enough money to sell their home unless they take a financial loss. And because the economy has been harder the last few years, a lot of them cannot afford to do that. So some of them are opting to rent their properties, some are opting to stay where they're at, some are on market, but they're unwilling to price even though the home's value has decreased from what they were expecting to have gained. So this is creating a really strong buyer market. However, there's not a lot of buyers because of the interest rates, and so our real estate market has slowed down tremendously because of that, because supply has increased. demand has decreased, and that is actually driving down the prices of homes, which puts these sellers that bought during that time period in a worse place. However, this is beneficial to the buyers because of the fact that there are so many homes on market. Sellers are still willing to pay concessions. A lot of them are still doing rate buy downs, and a lot of them are still paying for the seller's agent. The only problem with this is that some people cannot afford to do so, and so it's really hurting our sellers, and our buyers are scarce, so they're a little bit afraid to come in. So what are we expecting to see in the future? It seems that rates are coming down. So for VA and FHA buyers, we've seen a decrease in those. That has actually allowed for some refinance opportunities to come through for people who did buy in those higher rates. But for buyers, as those rates come down, it will help to bring more of them into the market, and then it should relieve our sellers. So we're really seeing a balancing. However, our pendulum swung very, very heavy towards our sellers. Now we're swinging back towards our buyers, and over the next couple years, we will see it return to a more neutral market. If you happen to buy a home during this time period of 2022 and up, and you're having issues selling that property, I do handle tenant placement. So if you would like to talk about how I can help you get a tenant in your home while you still maintain control of that property, please give me a call at the number above. If you are a buyer, I would be more than happy to help you take advantage of this market and find yourself a new home while these rates are still low. And as these rates fall, you'll have an opportunity likely to refinance later. Whatever your need is in the real estate market, whether it's to buy, rent, sell, or invest, please give me a call at the number above. I would be more than happy to help you out, and I hope that you have a blessed day.